Well, hello and welcome back to Lorehammer. My name is Eric.
Eric. Hey.
Hello, Mark.
Here we are, back at it.
Once again, right?
Once again into the fray. With us, we got our sweet, lovable, #1 fan,
Cherubic.
Christian Cherubic.
Oh,
What the fuck?
cherubic.
What does that mean?
I heard like Trubic, and I was like, "What's a Trubic?"
He looks like a cherub.
yeah,
Oh.
like a little
Rosy
baby,
little
like a little
cheeks.
baby angel.
Yeah, I can get behind that. Okay. And we also got Sam.
Yeah,
Here on this
Welcome.
special episode,
More fallen angel than cherub.
Chaos Undivided.
Oh yeah,
Undivided, yep.
episode 76 today. Chaos Undivided.
So really that just means we're going to be talking about Chaos, which is good. And,
Yeah, and the fact that it's undivided.
Exactly.
So,
Which is great for return stock portfolios.
you heard it here first.
So,
Invest now.
yeah.
Buy.
Buy, sell, stocks, bonds.
Bear,
like
bull. Fancy words, smart man.
Market research.
Big brain. Market research.
Spreadsheets.
Financial statements.
Graph.
Net worth. Money.
Have you been saving for retirement?
Just follow Lorehammer's easy.
Chaos Undivided episode. And we'll get you set.
Wow, that's it. I was wondering how long it would take us to railroad, and apparently it's 15 seconds.
It's nice. It's real nice.
So, yeah, we have a couple things we want to get into before we actually start this episode.
Yeah, first one is the Libra Malleus. This is now the second week that I've had this open. We're like half sold out now. So the concept is we're doing a Lorehammer official chapter. We have a bonus episode. Go listen to it if you want to learn more information. But yeah, we're building a Lorehammer chapter, and you can be a part of that. So if you want to be a part of that, you get
Uncle
to...
Mark wants you.
Yes, sir. You can email us or Facebook us or whatever to get a hold of us, and I'll send you a link. Then you can look what's available and follow all the steps and whatever. But yeah, you'll get to name your model, write a backstory for your model, and be forever entombed in my garage as a Libra Malleus Marine.
Entombed.
Brother
Entombed.
Syphilis.
That's an interesting choice of words.
I don't know, it's...
You too can be buried in Lorehammer's backyard.
exactly.
In shame.
So if you want to be a part of that, go join. It helps the podcast, and it's a cool project we're doing, because it'd be cool to go to a tournament and take this shitty army. You know?
Well, yeah, you wouldn't win,
I would
but
not
it would
win.
look cool.
It would look sweet.
And you
I'd
bring your
like-
book with you.
Oh,
yeah.
yes,
Shows all
yeah.
the backstory of everyone who's like submitted story for their
And everyone that dies,
guy.
you just tear their sheet in half and have to buy a new one.
you,
Yeah,
you
exactly.
cover it with like red paint and then like scrape redacted into the paper. Yeah, so that's cool. Guys, if you want to participate in the Libra Malleus, make sure you snap up it quick. 'Cause
Yeah,
they'll
yeah.
go fast. And then we can worry about building them, painting them, and then starting another campaign.
Whew, there's a lot to build and paint.
So, yeah,
But
it'll be good. We
Yeah.
have no other projects that we're working on right now,
no,
so it's fine.
No, it's not like Indominus just dropped and everyone has 80 Necron warriors to build. Sorry.
140? No, 160.
More?
More?
Too many. But
You don't want to invest in Necron stock. Right?
No,
Definitely crashing.
flood, yeah, too many.
It's a bear market.
Too many people on the Necron market. So also before we get
That's
in, we just
offensive former people.
sorry, yeah, too many things. Just a couple reminders again before we actually get in, guys. If you haven't, check out our Patreon. You know,
we do for $2 you get access to the video feed of what we're doing right now, which is enjoyable. You get to see Christian's what's the word?
cherubic.
Cherubic.
Cherubic
cheeks.
face. His cheeks, I mean, sorry.
Just the cheeks. The
yeah.
rest of his
The rest of the
faces.
faces.
Yeah. So that's nice. Go check out Redbubble if you're looking to buy some merchandise. And yeah, if you want to get a hold of us, talk to us on Facebook, Instagram, Discord, Twitter, whatever.
Yeah, and so we did just update our YouTube library. It's to where we're current now. We're just a couple episodes behind because we're also releasing videos on like a time lag.
Yeah.
So if you want to stay up to date, you gotta check out our Patreon. If you're willing to
yeah.
wait, then and having ridiculous amounts of patience when you
Yeah.
don't need to because it's so cheap.
Yeah.
For Patreon for
$2.
$2.
Yeah.
then yeah, check out YouTube as well because we're trying to make a presence on there.
Yeah. It'd be cool to get
YouTube,
that
the YouTube,
the YouTube
buy sell.
monetization.
Yeah.
Unboxing.
Unboxing videos.
You could win $10,000.
Just
gonna
every week, it's just Eric unboxing more.
Necron. It's another warrior box.
I cut one more warrior out of a sprue. That's our daily algorithm video. Is me building
Just
one more
10
warrior.
minutes of you building it.
And it's dead silent.
Yeah.
You just hear him breathing.
I'm just humming, like yelling at the cats behind me. Get away! Go, kitty! Bad kitty!
It's nice. Yeah, go check out our YouTube channel if you're into that kind of thing.
Yeah. But without further ado, I think we should step into episode 76.
Chaos Undivided.
Yeah. Oh, look at that great Chaos star.
You can tell it's a Chaos star by the number of points it has.
8 points.
8 points,
And-
one for every point.
That's right.
Yep. That's it is.
8 points in each. Aha!
So we've done episodes on chaos before and,
Yeah.
and demonhood and worshiping chaos and
Boons and
yeah, we've done
Almost
a bunch
like it
of
was the
stuff.
first episode, even.
was it?
Well, we've done
it
a
was.
couple, all pertaining
The
to,
warp?
to the warp and
The
to
warp.
chaos. But this one specifically is going about the servants of chaos that haven't picked one of the main four gods.
Yeah, that was one thing. We got an email where somebody is like, when are you guys going to talk about Undivided? Or,
Undivided, you mean?
uh-oh.
I blew my cover.
That guy's not in the know. He said it wrong. That's straight away
Yeah,
he
yeah.
said it. It's
The
all
email
clearly-
said it wrong.
Yeah. Because this episode, it Chaos Undivided works very differently than just normal chaos. Like, you're not...
Chaos
Sorry.
Undivided works really different than Chaos regular.
I'll take it away. Take it away.
So
Clearly
let's-
you're
Well, yeah, I mean,
better at this than me.
we don't really need to go over more. We can just go right into the notes. Serving Chaos is our first category. So
God damn.
I want to pull my own eardrums.
I'm not going to be able to say it correctly after this. It's just going to be too fast. Anyways, so worship, devotion, and usage of the ruinous powers is nothing new to the galaxy. This isn't a 10,000-year-old problem. It's
No.
been since as soon as the existence of the warp.
Yep.
You know, Chaos has been worshipped. And all manner of creatures have devoted their life to Chaos. Chaos is not a humanity-only problem.
Yeah,
A
yeah.
lot of people seem to think, just from like a human-centric point of view, that humanity is like the only worshiper of Chaos out there.
Yeah.
Not all humans.
Yeah, but not only humans, you know? Like, but well, they might be the most numerous,
Yeah.
but they're definitely not the only ones.
No, and like even when you go through like lists of demon princes and stuff, you never see like, holy shit, an Eldar demon prince.
Yeah.
But that would totally happen. That
Of
could
course.
potentially totally happen.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not a human only thing to follow to worship chaos.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but the Dark Eldar are kind of like, aren't they sort of de facto chaos
No.
worshippers?
No, they're
yeah.
very opposed to it.
Weren't they like spawned by Slanesh or something, if I'm remembering?
So, quick side derail.
Sidebar,
here.
yeah.
Quick
That's
sidebar
why I'm here.
This one will be good because
And it's going to get worse.
I won't have to worry about making sure I'm saying the right words because we're now talking Eldar. But yeah, so like the Eldar Empire, they
You mean
were-
Eldari?
Eldari. God damn it, I'm going home. So they created their own empire and then they started fucking around and doing all the
They
hedonistic acts.
gave into excessive
Started having a good
behaviors.
time.
They had a good time.
Too good of a time for too long.
So, a third of the empire was destroyed at the birth of Slaanesh. Another third,
Which is an
went-
important distinction because even another race created a chaos god, so
Yeah,
not, not
yeah.
human centric.
Yeah. So, a third of the race was destroyed when the Eye of Terror opened up, which was Slaanesh's birth. Another third fled on craft worlds, and then another third. Those aren't exact numbers, but then another third are the original kind of pleasure cults, and they were the Dark Eldar.
So yeah, they weren't birthed out of it, but
They birthed.
They're like a
everything kind of
byproduct of it.
changed
Right,
yeah.
at that moment.
But the big thing is like so
Because of their monkeying with chaos in the war.
correct.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
chaos, but
Chaos. How dare I?
How dare you?
But yeah, like now Dark Eldar, like any Eldar, when they die, they get devoured by Slaanesh. So they're not actually worshiping chaos at all.
In fact, they're pretty terrified.
yeah,
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
and opposed to it.
Yeah,
But-
it's like their number one concern is avoiding
But in
that
a weird
death by
way,
Slaanesh.
Yeah.
like I know this is kind of like weird, but like by feeding other people's souls in a way, they're kind of like
Yeah, they're
Well, it's selfish. They're just saving themselves.
right. I know,
they
but
kinda-
like okay, if you're feeding a bear, if the bear is your enemy,
Yeah.
and I throw you in front of me, you're
Yeah.
still
And we
feeding
changed-
the bear. You're
It's
just not
different.
feeding
It's
it
different
yourself.
because we can kill a bear.
sure, yeah.
We can deal with the bear. How are you supposed to deal with something that is
Right, but
beyond
like I said,
your
in
comprehension?
a way, they're almost not serving.
Yeah,
him,
yeah.
But just by throwing other souls in the
Yeah.
maw instead of their own.
Yeah.
In a sense, you know.
like you're I think you're
Balance
right.
is
I
all
just
things
I
should
don't
be,
think they
yeah.
care,
Yeah.
right? They don't
Sure.
care what method they use to protect their own souls. They'd probably make sacrifices to Slaanesh all the time in Slaanesh's name just to avoid their own soul.
Right.
So
But-
they are
so in a
kind
way,
of
it's almost
worshiping.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
But not though. But are
Right.
But not. But are.
but not.
So I think
but
that
they are.
perfectly sums up point one. Worship, devotion, and usage
Yeah.
of ruinous powers is nothing new to the galaxy, and all manner of creatures have devoted their life to chaos.
Do you want to talk about some ways that humans from Terra have worshipped chaos?
Well, at one point during the Dark Ages, they didn't clean up all their shit, and
That's right.
they
And
created
They
the
spawned
chaos.
Nurgle.
By the way, I meant to bring this up. Have you guys been saying your prayers to Nurgle at night? 'Cause I feel like that's pretty
I've been making my
important these days.
sacrifices.
Okay, good.
So.
Look at my body. I am a vessel of Nurgle. I don't need to pray to him anymore.
So just while we've got the picture of the star of chaos or whatever it is, have you guys heard of the book Liber Null?
No.
No, I have not.
And
I've heard of the Libra
UL?
Malleus, and I know you can buy a model and
That's right.
become a part of that.
NUL or NAL?
Null. There's
null.
two L's. Null. The book of nothing in the Latin. So that was it's a real life Terra book about chaos magic.
Is it really?
It really is.
Yeah, and the logo is yeah, exactly.
And I actually looked it up today because it's been a while since I read it, and I double checked the number of stars,
Points on the star, you mean? Yeah.
the number of points on that star, and it is.
It's something
8.
about the cardinal directions. I know.
No.
No?
No.
The 8 is supposed to represent infinite possibility.
Yes.
Yeah.
I
Then
think
there should be
that's-
infinite points.
It's
too.
just like
it's
it's like
they're
the number
there
8.
technically are infinite points of symmetry in a circle, right? And that's what they're representing.
Sure,
Is
yeah.
that it doesn't matter where you go on the
and
circle.
8 is 2. There's an infinity symbol.
Yeah, I don't know if that's.
There's a lot of symbolism in magic.
Sure. Yeah.
The Gathering.
So when I was scanning over the book today before coming, doing my research, I could not find a specific selling your soul to a dark being spell within the book. So I
is
won't
it
be
new
telling.
agey magic or is it old magic? Because new agey magic is not really about selling your soul to the devil.
It
It's
depend-
much more about like other manifestations.
It's
Don't argue with
complicated.
me.
I'm not going to get. Too
It's a very
interesting-
meticulous
It'd be
science.
interesting to read.
Yes,
it.
it's very real. It is fun to read.
yeah.
I do recommend it.
Well, okay. Let's
My
get to
is,
point 2.
I have a game to play though.
So, back onto serving chaos. The intention, and this is going to be a wordy sentence.
As all sentences are,
Yeah.
They tend to have
Made-
words in them.
they are
and
made
are
of
composed of.
All right.
words.
I can feel the sarcasm. Thanks, guys.
Point 2.
The intention of the actions of an individual will determine the direction of their worship.
Yeah, that's a very big thing.
So every action has a ripple in the warp because everything is based on our. The warp is based on our effect on it, and
Yeah.
the way we affect it is by having emotions and feeling things, and feeding our emotions into this other realm.
Yeah.
So if every action has a ripple, and warp beings, they then absorb this emotional effect based on the intention of that being that performed it. In a perfect world,
Yeah.
this would mean that if I sacrifice something in the name of Korn receives 100% of that sacrifice in whatever manner is proportional in the warp.
Yeah. I got a good is an analogy that could really simplify this up. Okay, so water. We all know water, right?
Yikes.
Okay, so just imagine just imagine you're at a swimming party, pool party with Korn, Chinch is there, Nurgle's there, Slanesh is there, and all 4 of those chaos gods are in different corners of the pool, right? And you, with your emotion, you're in the middle, and you slap down, and it creates the ripple. It kind of feeds everything in the pool. It just ripples out, kind of feeds everything.
Yeah, all of them at some point are going to get hit by the ripple.
Yeah, and other things in the pool also will get hit by this ripple. But when you are intentional with your actions, you can then, instead of doing a ripple, you do a splash, and you're splashing
direct
corn. Yeah. So you can actually then direct your feelings towards a specific god, and they get more power.
This is actually an amazing analogy, especially because
I'm full of when it comes to warp analogies, I'm in it. This is my element.
So all water based.
We can take it. We can take it further then, and also explain the fact that you said there's other entities in the pool with you. They're just too small. And in your act of splashing is difficult to make sure it only goes in a single area, right?
Yep.
So it's possible that Nurgle gets a tiny little bit of that splash.
Yeah,
as
even
we're
though
giving it to
Korn got 90% of it, Nurgle got a little drop.
And it's
as well.
possible that a bunch of other entities also happen to touch upon some of that ripple, that the splash effect that you're creating in the pool. So we know that we affect who is powerful in the warp.
Yeah.
And our intention should serve as a channel to that person.
Yeah.
But
and this helps explain too, like, why guardsmen, when they're killing and defending for the Imperium, they're not actually serving Korn.
Yeah, so
they're not actually powering up Korn with every person they kill.
Yeah.
Because it's not an intentional thing for Korn.
Yeah,
There is a ripple.
This is something that we actually went over really, like, it took us a solid amount of time to be happy with how we were describing this.
Yeah.
Really. But it goes, so in one of those we wrote, in this way, killing in the name of the Emperor does not consign you as a follower of Korn.
Yeah.
You're not, just because, if you kill and sacrifice in the name of something, while the terror and blood and power can still be accepted by Korn as worship in some way.
Yeah.
He probably has no claim to your soul, as the action is not performed in his name. And I think that's another thing that people forget a lot about, is when you become like a worshiper of chaos, and you start performing actions in that god's name, that god claims you as their own, in the same way that Slanesh has claimed all Eldar
Exactly.
as its own. Like, you become a follower of Korn, like Nurgle,
Has claimed us.
yeah. I mean,
claimed Earth.
Nurgle doesn't have a claim on your soul. You're Korn's property, and when you die, you presumably go to Korn's realm to constantly be beat the crap out of by demons
Valhalla.
forever. Well, that's a form of Valhalla. It's not a nice one, but yeah, it's almost like having.
There was beer in Valhalla.
It's only blood drinks.
It's almost like a form of protection if you devote yourself to something else.
Sure.
So devoting yourself to the Emperor does offer you some form of protection in the afterlife, or for your actions to not be drastically given to chaos. And I actually really like how this conclusion that we've come to, really. So
Yeah.
Can there be like benevolent gods of chaos?
Yeah,
Chaos.
absolutely.
I don't think there's
I know
any
there's
reason.
Nurgle's pet guinea pig, who's a
Isha.
goddess,
Isha.
who he infects. He tests out his biological weapons on.
And that would be, like, I think, a decent example of benevolent. We just don't know exactly what Isha is.
Yeah,
Okay.
she might be a warp entity.
She might not be. She might have existed in the mortal realm before the warps. So,
But to your question, yes, like the warp is full of unknown entities, and some of them could potentially be good. There could be the god of hope out there. There could be the god of
Just there's no hope in 40k, so they're very underpowered.
yeah. It's
yeah,
very
that's
underpowered.
that's a very good thing. Is nobody has.
It's a good
hope.
thing.
It's a
Well,
good
no,
Interesting.
sorry. It was a good. That's a good way to bring it back. Is the fact that there is very little hope in 40k.
which is why you don't really see many of the benevolent gods.
Yeah,
No,
because there's
no.
just not a lot of good things. In 40K. It's not a nice place. It's only bad.
And in the opposite direction, there's also like mindless beasts that live in the warp just as much, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of things that live in the warp.
there's-
So like an ocean with lots of sea creatures.
Oh,
You stay away from the water. It's his domain. He's gonna sue you over that. So, but often enough, creatures in the materium, so in
Real space.
reality, will seek out warp beings and entities and treaties with them, trading acts for boons and blessings. So actions performed in this manner is what we would consider a direct fuel source for the gods that they've chosen to worship.
You're at that pool party and you're splashing change.
You're just only splashing cheat. You're ignoring everything else.
Exactly.
He's loving it.
He's loving it.
Yeah. He's
got
like,
his-
so much
Like
cheat.
a giddy girl. Like,
That's just me. I don't put me in a pool. I'm
He
like
gets on
that.
top of Nurgle's shoulders, gets on top of yours. They start having a
you guys are such
chicken fight.
a happy version of the warp.
It's just a swimming pool.
Well, I pissed in it.
That's why it's purple.
You guys don't.
So creatures who are, once again, anyone can go and serve chaos. So
Infinite number of reasons.
Yeah, exactly. They might be hurt. They might be super ambition. They might be disillusioned. They could just be power hungry, or even just plain old, evil
Or hopeless.
or hopeless.
And
Sure.
they do it for a good reason. Like, I want to save my family, and this is,
Sure.
I think, the only way I know how.
Yeah, yeah.
I want to release myself from the boot of the capitalist patriarchy of the Imperium and to start a revolution.
There's a disease that's spread across the world. That's
COVID-19. We gotta
everybody.
kill ourselves. COVID-19, and we can. Nurgle will save us.
Okay.
actually though. I was reading about.
the Libra Null. Bring him forth.
You said it, so now I'm going to read. This is either a quote from a Chaos Space Marine or a quote from Libra Null.
Okay.
Io Horus Horus, Horus to me come.
Okay. I have my guess. I'm saying Libra Null.
I think so.
That was a layup. I was
Yeah.
hoping the Horus would throw
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Horus is a pretty prominent figure in magic.
It just had
though.
one too many Horuses.
You
Then
should
you're
have
like, yeah.
You should have added a quote like, quote, 8th captain
Oh,
of
you're
the
right.
Luna Wolves.
At some point.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe. Yeah, so lots of different creatures have used chaos even as an end to their own goal in their life.
Yeah.
However they got there doesn't really matter. We actually did a whole we called it Chaos Ascendant, and it was episode 30 where we talk about how to serve chaos.
Yeah, and why they would do
Why
it,
they would
the,
do it.
the benefits,
yeah,
you know.
all that kind of stuff. So if
Yeah.
you're looking for that,
That's actually a really sweet episode.
It was good, yeah.
We talk about Ascension as well.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah,
one-
and, like,
that's
how
one
to
of my
actually-
favorite moments is when we were researching Demon Ascension.
yeah, and like the
It's, just,
whole
it's
like,
pretty well spelt out in
yeah,
40K,
like the
which is
whole
cool.
ritual of it and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. But in that episode, we talked specifically about the big four chaos gods.
Anthrax, Metallica, Megadeth, Slayer. That's the big four.
But being that there are many different entities in the warp, choosing the right one for you and your lifestyle is the biggest choice you can make.
It really is, because a lot of times once you choose one,
Yeah.
you're kind of stuck.
Oh yeah, there's not really any.
Yeah, like
take-backs.
they're very jealous gods, you know.
Yeah.
As soon as they have their hooks in you,
Yeah.
you better be offering something absolutely amazing for them to kind of relinquish you and give them freedom, right? So, but it seems to me once you're in their game, you're in,
Yeah,
and there's
pretty
no
much.
leaving.
Yeah.
So how does that work for the undivided part? Because aren't all the chaos gods sort of always fighting each other
In the great game,
in the great game?
yes.
So if you're serving chaos undivided, aren't you?
Yeah, there's definitely, and we will talk a lot about this later, but there's some serious drawbacks of being undivided. But there's also very big benefits for being undivided as opposed to choosing a single god. So we will go into it. It just happens a little later.
Yeah. So we talk about specifically the big four in that episode, but there are many different entities in the warp, and I've read that line. We're at this one.
Yeah.
So we know how to follow the big four. Like, you know, if you're Korn, go around murdering things. Like, we know how to follow them. But not everyone wishes to worship a god of the pantheon. or maybe that god has refused your worship. But there are innumerable lesser warp entities that exist in the warp and feed off the actions of mortal races. A follower might be incredibly selfish in nature and seek out an entity for a small price that allows the follower to revel in even more of their own selfishness.
Yeah, it's
so there might literally be a god of, or an entity of selfishness out there,
or someone who's just attracted to that feeling, right?
Yeah.
So, and there might even be 50 that are all attracted to selfishness.
Yeah, and that's the other
Right?
thing. Like, there are crossovers between different entities. Same emotions can fuel multiple entities.
Absolutely, yeah.
Chaos Undivided, though, Undivided, is the most pure form of chaos in the galaxy. It eschews the worship of a singular warp entity to instead praise chaos itself.
Yeah, that's definitely the pure form of chaos undivided. The way that it's kind of spelt out in codexes and in books and by the Imperium itself is a little different.
Yeah.
They add a couple other categories, and we will specifically talk about all of them.
Yeah.
But definitely chaos undivided in our minds is abandoning the idea of worshiping a single god of the pantheon and instead embracing much different ideas.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So there are three main ways, though, that a follower of chaos may be classified under the Chaos Undivided banner. And this is a thing. It's an in-universe
This is the Imperium
perspective.
thing that I was literally just talking about.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the first way that the Imperium categorizes somebody as a Chaos Undivided follower is worshiping two or more of the four Chaos gods. The next one is worshiping a lesser entity in the warp. And the third one is using the power of chaos as a means to their own end. So they're not even worshiping at all.
While attempting to give as little worship as possible to any particular warp being.
Yeah. So those are the three main ways. We're going to go into them further in detail. So the first one, worshiping two or more of the four chaos gods. To some, the whole chaos pantheon is worthy of praise and devotion. Each god is an entity beyond comprehension, beyond mortal abilities, and beyond the laws of the universe.
Yeah, there's like the idea that how could you possibly pick just one when all of these beings are worthy of your devotion and attention.
It's chaos undecided.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of is, but it's also, I think it's more of like a macro view, right? It's saying that anything I do should serve chaos because chaos is the ultimate goal in the galaxy, right? So it seems a little more like someone stepped back and looked at the bigger picture and decided that chaos was going to win regardless, so it doesn't matter who I worship. I might as well just worship everything. So, or at least that would be my understanding of it.
And to a certain extent in the lore, isn't it like kind of like the chaos gods? They're really sort of only metaphors for things that are in the immaterium.
Yes and no. They also do exist.
But
as
they do.
beings.
I know, like, you can battle them and stuff, and they have like their palaces inside chaos.
And
but that's like all
they've
filtered
interacted
through our perceptions, kind of, right?
Yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
They're not really.
Like, that's the warp. That's a picture of the warp.
Right,
and then you can put your own perception on that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
There
and
are
so the warp itself is almost what you're worshiping.
Yeah,
when
yeah,
you're
I could see
chaos undivided.
Yeah. There are like small like breaks in the warp where like reality's a little stronger, like demon worlds and stuff.
Or even just the Chaos Realms.
Yeah,
like the
Chaos
Chaos
Realms, sure.
Palaces that they
Sure.
have, like Nurgle's Garden. That's a real place, or like Zeech's Labyrinth.
Yeah.
You know, you can go there and work through it. So they are metaphors, but they're also real. There are instances of like Scarbrand who tried to kill Khorne.
Yeah.
You know, and that's not like a human experience. That was Scarbrand's experience trying to fight Khorne, and he hit him with his axe and only put like a tiny little like chink in the armor or something. And so they still do exist, but they don't have to be there for you to worship them, for sure. In that way, they kind of act as like a metaphor, I guess.
Yeah. So this type of chaos worship is the most common. So where you give yourself to multiple gods. And this could also include giving yourself
That's a rough
to...
night.
This could also include giving yourself to lesser entities of the warp. It's not just limited to the 4 major chaos gods.
Yes, but in this category, you do at least worship one of the 4.
One of the main, yeah, sure, exactly.
Yeah.
And then it could be a lesser entity or whatever.
Yeah.
Serving chaos in this way grants you the mark of chaos undivided, an 8-pointed star, a sign that you have devoted your life to chaos.
Yeah, it's a little odd. On Lexicanum itself, it states that you have to worship all 4 gods to earn this mark. I don't think I fully agree with that statement. I mean, if you chose to worship infinite number of demons in the warp and you abandoned the 4, how is that still not the exact same thing?
I heard if you guys got 1,000 new Patreon subscribers, Mark would tattoo the
Chaos
mark
star
of chaos
on the
his
forehead.
forehead.
And one
Don't
on my
make
ass.
that print. Well, that's a fine one, but the forehead is a little yikes.
Prominent.
I don't think you actually want that.
Are you devoted or not?
Not that devoted. I'm ass
I'm a
tattoo.
little-
I'm ass tattoo devoted. I'm not forehead.
I'll wear a
devoted.
keychain. But
Yeah. I wear a shirt that has it on it. You know. I worship chaos. Undivided. I am undividedly worshiping chaos.
How would you portray that through a T-shirt? People would just think you were.
Insane.
They would immediately pronounce it wrong and say chaos undivided.
They don't know the
Swine.
primordial.
but that's how you know they're
truth.
not real followers.
That's
Yeah.
true. So you separate the posers from the.
So serving gods in this way is the one way to earn the mark of chaos undivided. I'm struggling. But to try to appease so many different gods often means that the gods themselves just overlook you because you're not trying to get any one particular's attention enough. Or even if you do, they look at you and see that, oh, you also worship Slanesh and you also worship Galgachuber, or like, why would I bother? You know, like,
That name was too quick. Eric. Too quick.
well,
Yells above.
when we were doing this episode, we named like a random god and I called it Galganesh. And that's what we called like the unknown god forever. We just called it Galganesh while we were arguing over these notes. But anyways, so it's hard to earn the true favor of these gods when you're trying to divide your worship.
Yeah.
And
they will overlook you.
Absolutely, yeah. In fact, there's only one person ever who has actually attained true favor of all the 4 main gods, and that's, well, I guess Horus first, and then Abaddon. But Horus didn't really do anything to earn it. It was kind of bestowed upon him.
Yeah, that's a good distinction.
Whereas Abaddon actually went through each of these gods and said, I will earn your favor, what do I do? And he performed tasks for them.
Sure.
So I think Abaddon is a much truer follower of
Abaddon.
It's Abaddon.
It's not Abaddon.
It is Abaddon.
Nobody
It's
says it
Abaddon.
Abaddon.
Games
Oh,
Workshop
yes.
says it Abaddon.
Games Workshop is wrong. 'Cause Abaddon is a demon who goes much further back than Games Workshop.
No.
And I've never
they're
heard
trying
it
to
pronounced
separate it.
Abaddon.
No, even in because it comes from Judaism.
Yes.
Yeah,
The
it is
Annihilator.
pronounced it's actually a V sound of Avon.
Cool. Games Workshop claimed it's Abaddon. So.
No. Yeah, like that's the anglicized version.
Yeah. I mean, but they could have called it Abaddon. They could
I
have
know.
called
I like it
Abaddon.
Abaddon. I personally say Abaddon.
I
'cause
say Abaddon
it sounds
too.
cooler, but it
Yeah.
is Abaddon in
I
English.
would never let his name sully my tongue. You filthy fucking traitors.
You call him the Despoiler, War Master of Chaos.
I don't acknowledge
King
his
to
pathetic
come.
rule.
The Red King, the True King. What do you call him?
What do you?
I don't acknowledge him.
Abaddon, Lord and Savior.
Hi, have you? We're gonna ring doorbells and
Yeah, once we have the tattoos
stars.
on our foreheads, we'll walk around, hand out pamphlets of the Liber Null. But anyways,
Abaddon just dropped an album last year, by the way. It's called Fours and Lords.
Okay.
is that a metal band?
Of course. Every single proper noun in this entire notes section is,
going to
a
be-
black metal band.
So yeah, he is the only one who's ever actually earned Chaos Undivided's favor from all 4 gods.
Yeah, which
So,
is pretty crazy.
yeah. The more I learn about him, the more I actually come to respect like what he's done.
You gotta read Talon of Horus.
Yeah.
He's one bad dude.
One bad dude. So that's the first way.
A bad
Yeah, that's the
dude.
first
A bad
way
one.
to kind of serve
Oh.
undivided. It's to worship a chaos god at more than one.
More than one
Yeah.
chaos god.
Ideally,
yes.
you worship the big four.
But sometimes you can worship 3.
Sure.
Because screw that guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Nobody really likes Anthrax.
Exactly.
Who's Anthrax in this metaphor? Is that
Slanesh.
Zinch? Oh,
The-
Slanesh.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. I kind of like
Wouldn't be
Slanesh.
nerd.
though.
Isn't
Yeah. It's corn.
I guess
Worshipping
Anthrax
a
would be
lesser
Nurgle.
entity. Yes, would be. Worshipping a lesser entity in the warp. That's the next way to be under the
Okay,
undivided
so
banner.
Anthrax is Nurgle. Megadeth is
I'm not gonna lie,
Korn.
Sam. I'm kind of done with the metaphor. I can only handle so many death metals.
So, choosing to follow any other warp being than the Pantheon.
Mark got to do the swimming pool analogy. That's how I understand the world.
Through black metal bands.
Those are thrash metal bands, the big 4.
Sorry.
How dare you?
So, choosing to follow any other warp being than the Pantheon falls under worship of a lesser entity. So, whether that is literally like a bloodthirster or some other entity not even tied to a chaos god, which is way more likely.
Like the band Testament. That's
I don't agree.
I don't agree either, but it is.
How is that not just the same thing as worshiping corn? Because if Scarbrand gets stronger,
I don't even
corn
have to make the metal
benefits.
analogy
That's why he
for
doesn't
corn.
kill him. It doesn't matter what Scarbrand does.
itself.
Corn benefits from his actions in the same way that worshiping Scarbrand is just a different form, but it's still just worshiping corn. I don't know. That's how I see it.
I agree with you.
Okay.
But the notes say what
But-
the notes say.
That's just not how Games Workshop views it. They do view
What's
it.
the example?
I don't know.
Oh, I thought we settled on the fact that worshiping one of their demons was the same as worshiping them. I thought we settled on it.
We did. GW, I don't think sees it that way. That's not how they word it.
So if you follow Scarbrand.
Yeah,
Because
well,
here's the
that's
You're
a
thing,
good
technically
example.
not a
but
follower
here's
of
the
corn.
thing, though,
then?
because
Yeah,
Scarbrand
he like
is rejected by his own god.
But
Yeah.
he's not though.
But he is, though.
No, but he's not. Korn left him alive because Scarbrand is. No matter what Scarbrand does, it's for Korn. How
Here's
can,
we've reached an impasse.
your hand doesn't attack you, right? Like maybe if you have some weird disease, it does. I don't know. But like how can a part of you actively work against yourself?
If you've not seen the movie Idle Hands.
I haven't.
Is that a metal band? The movie Idle Hands?
No, it's actually nothing to do with metal.
I don't know. I just
Autoimmune
Okay,
disorder,
well,
Eric.
I also
let's
never
rephrase it.
I never came across Games Workshop saying it was that way either. I thought we kind of
Naturally.
assumed that was the case, and then we worked out that it wasn't. Like, so right here, just on Scarbrand's thing, he's one of the greatest champions of the Blood God. Like, of course, like, sure he disobeyed, and he tried to rise up, but Korn knows, like, oh, it's way more beneficial to keep him alive because literally
gonna kill
everything he
everything,
does, is still for me. Yeah.
Okay, well, read that how you want to read that then.
We'll agree to disagree.
Okay, so
I said with that.
anyways,
Yeah.
I do too.
So if we all
I
agree,
just don't understand what games
Unless
where
GW
did
has
Games
made a
Workshop makes
statement.
that distinction? That's what I'm
trying to
wondering.
find it.
Okay, so in this one, we're talking about lesser entities in the warp. Presumably, one's not tied to the Pantheon unless Mark finds something right here. So just a random warp entity or being that exists outside of their influence. So there's potentially millions or even trillions or even quintillions of creatures that reside in the warp. I didn't know how any more
numbers.
Yeah, that was as high as I go. So there's innumerable numbers of these other beings that exist in the warp, and many of them will most likely wish to engage mortal races in their lives because the closer they are to whatever's happening in reality, the bigger the worship that they feel, right? So this relationship between God, in air quotes, and follower is most likely similar to that of the Pantheon gods, but the boons or required sacrifices or acts would change depending on the worshipped entity itself. So in the same way that, I'm a follower of Korn, and I follow his tenets, and I perform the actions that he requires for his worship, which is blood spilling and the sacrifice of innocence or whatever it is.
Skull-taking.
Skull taking. Yeah, taking the heads of my enemies and bleaching their skulls. That would be something
nice.
Korn requires. But there's going to be other entities that all require different acts. And that's kind of the main thing we're getting at here, is that your worship to chaos is kind of dependent on the being that you've chosen to worship.
Sure. Yeah.
And then it's your acts and servitude and sacrifices are going to change depending on blood is a really common theme.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean it's the only way.
Yeah, so if you're worshiping Chaos Undivided,
Yeah.
does that mean you have to do a whole bunch of different random forms of worship?
That would be my understanding.
Yeah, for sure.
So you'd have to learn all the rituals and ceremonies for each
Yeah, if you're
individual god.
Whichever one you want to worship
At
in
the
that
time.
moment, you'd make sure you know the proper rites and stuff for them.
Yeah. Is point 2 good?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So the final way, using power of chaos as a means to your own end. This is the third way to be classified as Chaos Undivided. So as a follower of Chaos Undivided is to not give worship to any warp being at all. This type of chaos follower instead rejects the shackles that have come with devoting themselves to a god and uses the power and influence of the warp for their own gain and goals. Yeah, so these ones, they see the power that the warp has. They're trying to get as much of that power for themselves without giving themselves to chaos. Because, as soon as you become a follower of change, he is going to demand things from you. You're going to have to start doing things specific ways if you want more and more favor. But these are trying to get away with getting as much power from the warp without actually giving themselves to the warp.
Yeah.
In a way, Abaddon almost falls into that category. In a way. Because he's also trying to master chaos.
Yeah,
not be mastered
he
by
100%
chaos.
does fall into this category.
Yeah.
He has turned down demonhood.
And down any one god.
Yep.
Like allegiance. Yeah.
Yep.
His is a little different, I think, particularly because he does entreat the actual beings themselves. And he's more than willing to perform actions for them to gain their favor. I think he's just a master of playing one god against the other. I think that's what it's described with him, is that no one god has claim on him because he constantly evades them by going to the next god.
So then someone in this category would be...
This is someone who more uses chaos but doesn't choose to try and earn
emperor
the
of my
favor.
planet, so I learn whatever spells I need and treat whatever demons I need to control
Yeah.
whatever magic powers I want.
Exactly. Yeah,
But I'm not looking to devote my world to the worship of...
No.
It's exactly that. It's gaining as much power as possible without trying to put anything above you. Right. And I think Abaddon really has put the chaos gods. He understands that they are more powerful than him, and he does
also,
bend them.
He
bends to
right.
them.
But not. He looks to master them, too. Definitely, he's...
I think he
as much
realizes
an
that's an
enemy to
impossible
them.
goal.
Maybe if he can use all their influence against each other. I don't know.
What happens if he dies? Where does he go?
Yeah,
the soul gets ripped in 4 different directions.
It's very possible, right? That
He'll probably just be reborn. The gods do have the ability to grant their followers immortality.
Resurrection.
which is why the emperor absolutely eradicated Horus's soul.
Sure, you don't want that guy
Coming back.
coming back.
But yeah, I think there's a lot of wiggle room in some of these things.
Oh,
and
yes.
It's hard to try and put
them
someone
in
in
a
a box.
box.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
almost impossible. And
Yeah.
it's kind of just in that moment they were more of this follower of Undivided, in that moment they're more of this kind. So
Yeah.
there doesn't have to be any one way,
Yeah.
I think.
Having said that, we did put some
People
into
in different
a box.
boxes.
We did, yeah.
Having said that, so we did end up choosing 3 war bands or legions or whatever they are in their current state that best describe each one of these ways to follow a
That
chaos
we
god.
felt they
that
were.
we felt, sure.
Yeah.
So the first one was worshiping 2 or more of the 4 chaos gods. So naturally we chose word bearers.
Yeah, the
So-
classic. The first Astartes to ever worship chaos.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So what two or more chaos gods would you guys
They serve all
beat,
four.
beat down to clown
Oh,
with?
us.
Oh,
personally?
us personally.
If you were to go undivided,
Slaanesh is always in there for me. I like the excess. I like tricking people. That's what I'm doing with the Lorehammer listeners.
I just have a lot of respect
And
for
I mean,
Abaddon.
Warhammer's enough of a sausage fest already, isn't it? Get some ladies in there.
I have a lot of respect for Abaddon and his refusal to kind of accept like the chain of any one god, and instead has kept his perceived freedom as it is. So I think if I was gonna try and do it, I'd try and do a very similar route. Would I survive? No. But for the
nice.
for the
I
first
won't
2
survive
seconds,
either, though, so it's fine.
for the first 2 seconds of me trying to worship Chaos Undivided, it would be 10 out of 10.
Okay, so word bearers.
Yeah.
The 17th Astartes Legion, created by the Emperor, their primarch Logar, was raised on a planet where religion was the currency. Because of this mindset that Logar brought to his legion, the word bearers have been fanatical and religious bunch. The first being they deemed worthy of praise was the Emperor himself, although the Emperor was not a big fan of this and actually chastised them for their beliefs.
R.I.P. Monarchia.
We've talked about that before, so we're not going to get super into it. This turned Logar and his legion to start looking for other beings worthy of their praise, leading him to the Chaos Gods.
You must feel so rejected when,
The being you worship.
it says
Yeah.
like, hit the bricks.
Yeah, Erebus.
I don't need your worship.
Erebus allegedly knew about the primordial truth from very early on.
Sure, like their whole planet is like this super religious planet. They had to have had texts on
The Liber Null.
the Liban.
Yeah, but this
And
was like
Psychonaut.
this was the point where he was confident that I can tell Lorgar about this now.
Exactly.
And I can give him beings that are truly worthy of his, devotion, because the Emperor has obviously denied any of it. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So since the discovery of the Chaos Gods, since their discovery of the entities in the warp, the word bearers have become the archetypal way to serve Chaos Undivided, the first way.
Yeah.
They believe that each entity in the warp is worthy of praise and sacrifice. Some word bearers will even look down on other mortals who only serve one of the Chaos Gods.
You actually see that kind of often. Everyone believes that what they're doing is the best way.
Sure.
It's pretty funny, actually.
That's
Yeah, they're like, how could you possibly think that yours is the right way? Mine is. It's kind of funny.
that's human nature.
But
I
yeah,
think.
they
Gotta dance constantly around the equator of a planet like Nurgle's followers.
yeah, they like the word bearers are the true, like they give everything that they can to chaos,
Yeah.
and it's a true worship and devotion.
Yeah.
Type thing. It's not a mathematical equation for them. It's not a scientific,
not what we can get out of
process. Yeah, they truly believe that these beings deserve worship,
Yeah.
and they offer everything and anything that they possibly can.
Yeah.
So
They spend a lot of time watching The Dark Knight and The Joker.
Do they?
Yeah.
is that how they spend their time? I think they
Interesting.
cut bodies up in their spare time. Personally,
You can do both.
you can do both. You have it playing in the background.
Yeah.
Though their worship and serving takes many different shapes, each entity in the warp having their own preferred ways of being worshipped. So, they don't have just one ritual that they do. They do fucking everything.
Oh yeah,
for
they'll do
everyone.
anything. Yeah.
For lesser deities, for demons, for chaos gods. They do it for everything.
Unknown, unnamed,
Sure,
any
exactly.
kind of thing that they feel is like a presence in the warp. I see them trying to communicate and elevating.
And they'll
Yeah.
entreat it. And yeah.
Yeah.
That's actually interesting too because, oh crap, I just lost my train of thought.
Nice.
It's gone.
Yeah. So that's the word bearers. They just worship everything. They worship everything they can find.
Yeah, right. So like even like minor demons and stuff, and then they'll like think someone's like blessed or anointed if they like manifest demonic energy, right?
Yeah.
And it doesn't necessarily have to be a corn one. It could be like a fury inhabiting your body.
It actually makes me wonder, is there any idea that you can create your own like chaos beings or entities? Because they are essentially creations of mortals in the first place, right? So could you not then intentionally create some kind of
the amount of energy that you would actually need is just too much. So
It's on the scale of an entire species.
yeah.
It seems
So in
over,
theory,
it seems to me that
millions of years.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Like that.
Because I'm like, don't they kill that many people
Regular
on the regular in Warhammer 40K?
So the way Core, Nurgle,
That's
and
like an
Siege came
average
about-
Tuesday. Wiping out a species.
It's a little blurry and it's been retconned, but we do have like with Slaanesh, we have a very
clear picture.
clear picture. It literally took place over thousands of years.
Millions even. Who knows how long their slope into this
Sure.
thing was, you know? Like the birthing pains of Slaanesh were 5,000 years.
Yeah.
But that's not the creation of Slaanesh.
Sure,
It
absolutely.
took how much longer to actually create
That's
this.
when it actually started to gain consciousness and start.
Yeah.
So like the whole Eldar race, which is super psychic, it still took them thousands, potentially millions of years to create a god. So
Nurgle was. Do you know in like the Imperium's calendar when that was?
Okay, they say that Nurgle, Tzeentch, and Slaanesh or Nurgle, Sleech, and Gorn were all born during the medieval times because of Earth. But that's such baloney. There's no way in hell that that's true. And if any author,
That's what I was thinking when I was reading
Yeah,
that. I was like, that's.
if any author took the time to update that, it would be drastically changed. I hope for the better, because that's honestly one of the worst pieces of canon in 40K lore is that being the creation of the gods.
yeah.
So it blows my mind that it's still canon after all the releases they've done.
Especially because Nurgle, spelled with an AL, is a god from Mesopotamia in like 2000 BC. So
is
even
on
that's totally
Earth.
inaccurate.
Earth.
And then they give Nurgle all these flies in the gardens of Nurgle, right? But that's even wrong because Nurgle didn't have the flies. It was Pazuzu, who is from the Mesopotamian pantheon, and he's the demon from The Exorcist.
Yikes.
It's all wrong.
And The Exorcist is a great death metal band, or a great album by the band Possessed.
On the note of also Chaos Undivided, there are also demons that predate the gods.
Oh sure, yeah.
So, like in theory, you could worship one of those demons.
Yep.
And
Yep.
be undivided.
Oh yes. So the second main way you follow Chaos Undivided is, where's my note part here?
That was
To
worshiping
worship
a
an-
lesser entity.
Yeah, worshiping a
Sorry,
lesser entity.
The Exorcist was just a song on by Possessed.
Thank God. You
Sam
know,
just knows you're going to get hate mail from all the actual
at least
fans.
you've corrected
From
yourself.
all the Possessed
so.
fans out there.
So for this one, serving a lesser entity, we chose the Sons of Malice. The original name of the Sons of Malice has been lost to time, as has the knowledge of their founding. They were created to watch over a sector in space around the Eye of Terror. After a sad misunderstanding, they ritually sacrificed an Ordo Hereticus Inquisitor and were declared excommunicatus traitoris.
Sad.
It's just a small misunderstanding.
Yeah.
You sacrifice one wrong person, and now you're on the
It's
shit
actually
list.
kind of crazy. So many space marines engage in like cannibalistic acts, whether it's blood drinking or eating like the brains or even just the regular flesh of their enemies or friends or who knows. But it's
a
really
fallen hero, yeah.
It's a really common theme is cannibalism in space marines. So they were performing one of their rituals with cannibalism, and this Ordo Hereticus Inquisitor apparently was very unfamiliar with that being pretty common with space marines.
He wasn't okay with the eating of the flesh.
Yeah, so she sees it and she loses her mind, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, you need to stop this right now!" Like right in the thrall of their feasting. Yeah, but they almost describe it
Cannibalus
as
interruptus.
it almost sounds like it's like a ritual to them, and they kind of entered some frenzy or whatever. I actually really like how they describe it. But anyways, so she goes literally in the middle of all these space marines and their brotherhood, and she tries to stop like the chapter master, literally him, as he's eating this flesh and performing this ceremony.
That's not
It's
gonna
just
end well.
rude.
And he gets so upset that he just puts her down right there, rips open her body, and
Just
sacrifices it.
Eats her out in a completely
It's
different way
just-
than that normally means.
That's not. Don't like that.
How would you say it? How would you?
Ritual sacrifice. Ritual killing.
Not.
Exercising religious freedom.
But anyways, yeah, that was the sad misunderstanding. Is it came from a place of ignorance on her part. So you better know what you're stepping into if you're going down to a Space Marine homeworld.
You better at least have good table manners, because walking up to some dude as he's like trying to put
his
his
hands-
steak in his
Yeah, as
mouth.
he's literally cutting someone apart to eat them. But anyways, so they were declared excommunicatus traitoris just because of that.
Yeah.
And so they then declared themselves enemies of both the Imperium of Man as well as the forces of chaos. Because, they were declared enemies by the Imperium, but they still, they didn't think so.
Yeah.
So they're like, fine. Like,
Just ate one Inquisitor, guys.
Yeah.
It's
It was a single Inquisitor. There's more Ordo Hereticus Inquisitors than there are Space Marines. So, but anyways, it's crazy. They view themselves as being enemies of chaos at the same time that they swore themselves to chaos.
Yeah.
So there's those opposing views that they hold, and they feel that they're honoring both of them. That they swear to Malice, who is called sometimes the god of chaos, or the outcast god, or so he's not allowed in the pantheon. And there's been a lot of retconning around him, so it's kind of hard to peg him down.
Yeah.
But do you want to just
What?
mention?
Well, no, I just mentioned the fact that they seem to view themselves as following a single chaos entity, while denying all of the other chaos and denying the Imperium. So this falls under the fact that it's a lesser entity of the warp because it's not a member of the pantheon.
Yeah.
And they've chosen to sacrifice and perform rituals in Malice's name, while at the same time fighting chaos. It's an odd truth to kind of hold in your head at the same time.
It's chaos against itself.
But that's not what Malice is. Malice is not chaos against itself. It's just chaos.
But that's where it came out of.
No, he did there's
historically, in real life, the author.
sure, but
created-
Malice as it exists in the story is not
Currently.
against chaos.
Just his followers.
I think that
No, it's just pure chaos.
chaos
Like
can
true-
fight
true
itself.
chaos.
Yeah.
But chaos will fight itself just as much as it fights the other thing.
Yeah.
It's not actively trying to destroy chaos.
No.
It's just trying to sow chaos.
Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
whether that's literally planting a flower on a planet,
Absolutely.
that's now this crazy invasive species.
Absolutely. That
or-
takes over an entire planet.
Yeah, or killing other traders to cause more chaos in their ranks. It's anything.
Or
But-
butterfly flapping its wings.
yeah,
On
exactly.
one side of the
Yeah.
galaxy.
Yeah.
And
They're,
nothing
they're
happening
much
on the
they're
other.
much more the standard chaos than anything else. But they're not actively against. Malice isn't actively against chaos. Malice is just looking out for himself.
Chaos for chaos's sake.
Yeah. I don't know what they originally intended, but that's what it is now.
Okay, Night Lords are the next one we chose to represent using chaos for your own gain.
While denying chaos the right to your soul.
Yeah.
I think I read the novel of this when I was
Yeah?
16.
That would have been a pretty
You
crazy
did because I
novel.
stole the book from you.
Oh, that's where it went.
Everyone's just stealing books.
It's a good book.
So, a little understanding of what the Night Lords are and how they came to be. So, the Night Haunter terrorized the planet of Nostromo for years as a vigilante. And under his rule, there had been no crime because everyone was too scared of him. And this is the Primarch, Conrad Kurz.
Yeah.
So eventually, the Emperor appeared at the head of a bunch of his armies, and Kurz, who had been having visions and having some sort of psychic awakening, but suppressing it at the same time, he recognized who the Emperor was right away, and he left with him.
Yeah.
So he's placed at the head of his legion, and he brought to them his rule of fear.
Yeah.
And they embraced his philosophies. I think even before then, though, all the legions still bore some weird similarity to their Primarchs, right? Like, isn't it kind of described that way, or am I just projecting there?
It really depends on the legion. Like some of them, like Thousand Sons, definitely were very similar to like their their Prospero brethren.
Okay.
But other ones, like they always talk about Terran-born Marines.
Okay, you're
and-
definitely right. Yeah,
So
I
I-
remember Luna Wolves. They had a real big difference between Chthonians
Yeah.
and Terrans.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe I'm just
It
projecting.
depends on the Legion, really.
I see.
It could
Do you
go-
know about the the Night Lords? Is it like a common? Was fear something that they
No, I
used
don't
even
think it was
before?
before.
Not before, no.
No.
Okay.
And then even as the heresy progressed, they actually changed the recruitment pool, which
Yeah.
then like
It became
reinforced-
from Nostromo.
and became what criminals.
Yes,
Yeah.
They would
specifically.
specifically take.
Well, actually, they were
criminals.
given them. It wasn't a take.
Okay, well, either way, like the recruitment.
Their
pool
recruitment
shifted.
Yeah. Okay.
To the point where then like it became a self-fulfilling prophecy,
Okay.
which is kind of his whole thing. Night Hunter's thing is a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's poetic. It rhymes.
Is it poetic?
Does it rhyme?
Is it a thing? Anyways, so at some point, he's placed at the head of his legion, and he brings this vigilantism and this like rule of fear to them, and they embrace it as all legions did when their Primarch came. They embraced the changes. And so they began to emulate him and reproduce what he's doing on the battlefield.
Yeah.
So they turned fear and terror into a weapon, and they used it very effectively
Yeah.
during the Great Crusade. Like, they're an absolutely terrifying
Yeah.
army. Like, the way they look is horrendous, and it's the stuff of nightmares.
They utilized fear on purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was their
and, like,
intention.
even when they were good guys, they were still bad guys. Like
They were using
always
fear tactics.
Yeah.
And terrorizing the
flaying
population.
people, and like they were always doing crazy things. While they are enemies of the Imperium, because eventually they do fall fully to chaos. Well, not fall, because they use it against.
They kind of slide into chaos.
Yeah, they slide into it. While they are enemies of the Imperium and allies of the forces of chaos, they do not worship any of the chaos gods. Instead, they view those that do as weak and petulant. They scorn those who choose to shackle themselves to a god and only embrace temporal or material power. One of their goals is to spread chaos through terror and fear throughout the galaxy. Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of what they like to do. They like to use warp powers. They like to summon a bunch of demons just to cause fear, but they don't care about the demons. It's not there.
Yeah, they're not trying to further one of the gods' goals
No.
in the great game.
No.
They're not trying to use their material influence to benefit a god specifically in the warp.
Yeah.
But and even the ones that do, they see them as like weak.
Yeah, exactly.
Why would you rely upon the power of something else when you should be the pinnacle? You should be the one inspiring fear and terror, and not the other way around. So
Quick correction: they had always recruited from prisons, including
really,
Terran
oh, I thought it
yeah.
was only when he left. That,
Yeah, I thought so too.
That
But they did. It does say that they did adapt the Night Haunters' philosophies quickly. So whatever they were before may not necessarily have been what they became after.
Sure.
We don't know a lot about pre-heresy legions.
No.
They're being released like with each rule book from the Horus Heresy series from Forge World. So who knows?
Very cool. But yeah, that's our example of some group of people that do not worship any god, but instead use chaos for their own means.
Yeah. It's crazy how Chaos Undivided can be taken so many different ways like this. Like all three of these
Only 8 directions.
all three of these
Exactly 8 different directions.
are very different in the way they operate.
Yeah, and the worship would look, and what's required of you, and
Yeah.
the boons you could potentially get. Like,
like
worshiping, like Sons of Malice, like your boons are weak compared to a follower, a champion of Khorne. Like you're not being given demon wings, and you're not ascending, to his court or whatever.
I think you would just get crazy fucking boons that you did not ask for and did not want.
Like
In
turn
what?
into a spawn.
Yeah, for worshiping Malal or Malice, you'd get crazy boons.
Because it's just chaos.
It's just chaos boot. Yeah, where
You get
with
like
Khorne
6
you get
testicles.
Yeah, you get this badass demon sword or whatever, but with him, you get 6 testicles.
Yeah,
It's
but
chaos.
That's what I'm saying.
You're really fertile now. Though.
But that's what I'm saying.
It's
Like, the boons are it's a much straighter path when you follow along the same path that hundreds of millions of billions of people have gone before you down this path, right? So you know the right things to do, you know what you have, what sacrifices you have to make to earn this favor.
Yeah.
But worshiping a lesser entity, it kind of changes the game for you.
Yeah,
So
for sure. Yeah.
Or even rejecting it. Like
Yeah.
the Night Lords.
Yeah, and then
I
that's
wasn't gonna say
the
it.
other option, but
or like the Iron Hands.
Oh, great.
Or not
Perfect.
Iron Hands,
Yeah.
Iron Warriors.
yeah, like
many other
Pergorabo.
examples.
Sure.
Yeah,
But
there's
they
a lot.
specifically, like, when they get touched by the warp,
Yeah.
they cut off the mutations and replace it with bionics because they don't want that taint, right? That's
Sure.
how
Yeah. But
anti-warp. they
yeah,
are.
sure.
So I'm just saying it's a broad range. I'm agreeing with
There's
you.
there's other ones that kind of don't fit into any one category as well. I like Thousand Suns because as much as they are 100% worshippers of Tzeentch, there are large factions of Thousand Suns that hate Tzeentch and actually
what he did to them.
despise Magnus and Tzeentch and actively work against them even.
Yeah.
So and like those ones would be in the third category, you know, there's psychers and worshippers of chaos who are using it for their own gains.
Yeah.
But at the same time, Tzeentch for some reason has a claim on them.
I think that's
So-
a good example too of exactly that. They've already started on the path, so now they're owned, right? So even if you're mad that you you betrayed me, Chaos God, they own your soul. You know, it's kind of like the devil. I don't know what story it is. Whenever he
Faust.
yes, exactly.
That sounds made up, but okay. So, the last thing we're going to talk about is demonhood and how to attain demonhood when you're Chaos Undivided.
Step 1.
Do the demon dance.
Demon dance.
It's pretty much the same as the Monster Mash. Just the lyrics are a little different.
They're in Latin.
So, being a demon prince of Chaos Undivided is incredibly rare for a number of reasons. The big one is if you worship all 4 chaos gods, chances are good none of them are actually going to give you any of their favor. You have to be an outstanding individual.
You really, it's not every day. I mean, maybe it is every day, but in a galaxy of untold billions, you know, like it's not a common occurrence.
No. There's only a handful out there, and half of them are Primarchs.
And then the other ones are Space Marines.
No, the other ones are super old and ancient, like
Isn't Genghis Khan one?
Genghis Khan,
Yeah,
Undivided.
I thought, or maybe he's one of Khorne.
Genghis. Sorry, I know you're talking about Doombreed, but yeah,
right. But he is Khorne. Never
Yeah,
mind.
yeah.
Sorry, carry on.
Like honestly, I think there's only one undivided demon prince, and that's Be'lakor. Other than for the Primarchs, it's like
So what?
we'll get into it. We'll get into this here. So the first thing, if you worship all 4 of them, chances are good they're not going to give you any power. Another reason why they're incredibly rare, minor entities might not have enough power to transform you into demonhood. So if you're worshiping, what did you call him, Gilgamesh or whatever?
Gilgamesh.
It doesn't have enough power to actually transform you into a demon prince. So that's another reason why they're rare. And the third one is demonhood just might not be your goal if you're worshiping Undivided. If you're going Undivided and you're like a Night Lord, demonhood is not your goal.
Yeah.
You don't want to be a pawn. You don't want to be subjugated to chaos.
Yeah. And there's benefits and drawbacks to becoming a demon prince, right? You become tied to the warp, so then you're bound by the rules of warp interaction with the material. You just don't want that.
Somebody knows your true name, then
Right.
you're fine.
They have control over you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They
exactly.
can
It's just not
banish
worth
you.
it. It's not worth it.
Exactly.
But you are immortal, right?
But it's not worth it.
Isn't that like the primary motivator for becoming a demon?
It is a
I think it's a
motivator.
big one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just immortality,
Yeah.
the oldest desire.
Of a doomed species.
Yeah.
So we have 3 examples of demon princes of Undivided, and they fall back into those 3 categories: the worshiping 2 or more gods, the worshiping a lesser entity, and also using power of chaos as a means to its own end. So the first one we're going to talk about is
It's one of Nurgle's flies.
it's Be'lakor. So Be'lakor is the Dark Master, the first Prince of Chaos, and one who heralds the conquerors. The Demon Prince of Chaos Undivided. He beholds each of the Chaos gods equally. Be'lakor has a little bit of bitter jealousy towards anyone who wins favor of the Dark Gods. As such, he is known to undermine the plans of the servants of Chaos. However, he does believe to be, or however, what he believes to be his free will is just part of the rivalry between the Chaos Gods themselves.
Fool is just
Yeah.
another pawn.
So,
I think that's almost just everyone of power in
Yeah.
the warp is just a pawn.
Yeah.
So
but yeah, like he actually has gotten all 4 Chaos Gods turned him into this demon prince, which is
Really?
incredibly rare.
Do we know what he was before?
No, he's like millions of years old. Like,
but apparently he's the first mortal ever elevated to demonhood.
yeah. So it could be.
I like to think that they did it in their infancy when the great game wasn't nearly as prominent now, or they weren't nearly as
Also-
farful.
Okay, so here we have some inconsistencies, though. Because then if Slaanesh is born later, then it wouldn't be all 4 gods unless he was born after Slaanesh, but then we're farther in future humanity. Pick one. Pick a lane.
I would think that you
Does
could
it
just use the like the in the warp time is non-linear.
So then
kind of
Slaanesh kind of
excuse.
goes back in time.
Yeah.
And Slaanesh has always
and
existed.
I think
Exactly.
an aspect of Slaanesh has existed forever. Because I think that almost everything has a reflection in the warp, and I think it takes a long time for enough of these things to coalesce together and give it sentience in the manner that we know.
Yeah, but then how does nothing give you...
Yeah.
But it wouldn't be nothing, right? There would be some form of whatever Slaanesh represented in the warp that
But it
did
would've-
exist as soon as the first
I
emotion
think
of
you're
that
just dancing
exists.
around it.
Well, no,
Then it could be any number of a million.
Like, I still-
why Slaanesh?
I still think it's wrong. Like I agree with you that it's ridiculous, but like I do like to think that these emotions and the reflections of these emotions have existed as soon as the first emotions existed.
Sure.
So hatred, didn't only appear in the warp with Khorne. It's been there since hatred has been first held, right? Maybe that was Khorne's original form.
There are,
in
and
some
like
way.
I said,
And
there
might-
are some demons. Like there's a demon of the first murder. There's a demon of the first weapon.
Yeah.
So like,
And there might even
they
be-
sound Khorne related.
There
but
can
are
still be
they?
hundreds of demons out there who require hatred and blood in order to sustain themselves. Not all of that has to go to
Sure,
Khorne
but
as
so
well.
then again, why Slaanesh over all of those
I don't.
hundreds?
Like I think
You know how
that's dumb
there's
too.
there's like those German words that are like
Combinations.
combinations of different emotions and stuff. Do you think there's like a
Well, there's one for every German word.
a chaos demon for every German word?
Even the German language sounds like chaos speech. Kaiserschlacht.
Yeah. But yeah, Be'lakor apparently all 4 Chaos Gods. However that timeline worked out, they gave him the power. He's undivided. He's got the power of the gods. One of the few. Carry on. Okay, next we're going to talk about Mkar. So this is when somebody has served a lesser entity. So Mkar the Reborn. During the Horus Heresy, Moloch Cartheo was a dark apostle to Hol Beloth, one of the word bearers commanders during the Battle of Calth. So the whole Battle of Calth, that's Ultramarines versus word bearers. I think World Eaters were there too at some point. Whole big Horus Heresy battle wipes out a whole system.
Is that what kept the Ultramarines out of the Sol system?
No, because it's concluded after
Oh,
or
okay.
before the Battle of Terror.
I see.
Yeah. Yeah,
But the storm may be what delays it. I don't
Yeah.
know. I stopped reading the
They-
Horus Heresy after book 40 something. They're just like they're dragging this out.
You know what?
I'm
That's
done.
fair.
Yeah.
But I know the storm delayed them. But anyways, go
Yeah.
on.
But so it was a crazy battle. They blew up a sun, killed like hundreds of space marines, thousands or whatever, and a whole planet. So as a reward for his bloody deeds on Calth, Moloch Cartho, that's his name, yeah. Who dies during this battle is actually reborn.
So it sounds like he
He's
went into
reborn.
the warp,
Yeah.
and his soul at that moment merged with a demonic entity by the name of Mkar, and then this new being was created out of it.
Yeah.
Who is Mkar, and so that's. I actually really like that. I like the idea that the
This M car.
This is, yes.
in a dreadnought.
Was he in a dreadnought?
Yeah, this is official artwork of him.
Isn't he just kind of wearing a dreadnought though?
Now he's just wearing it.
I'm
Everything I believed
so
was a lie.
perturbed right now.
I know, it's like everything I've said, you just like quickly go to Google, like you don't believe me. Like I
Well,
don't know
that's-
all things.
Like you're speaking straight from the mouth of chaos.
Do you know the picture of Drago with the demon head?
Yeah.
M car.
Yeah.
It is very much a bird head,
Yeah.
and that is not a bird head.
I'm just telling you what I know, you know.
We're finding so many plot inconsistencies with the warp. Who would have
You
thunk?
know what? It's very possible that I thought that image was M car, and it's not. Maybe that's why I thought he was a Zinchian demon, because that
Maybe.
thing looks like a Lord
Yeah,
of
yeah.
Change.
I mean, it looks kind of Shinshin.
What?
Am I wrong? No, it's the children who are wrong.
All I know is he's got some nice abs. That's all
I think
know.
I'm super.
Are you fucking high, Eric? Right now, is that what's happening?
Pull out the piss kit.
The piss kit.
I'll prove it. I'm stone cold sober. Huh? Okay.
So as a reward, when he died, he went into the warp and he merged with an entity called MCAR. As far as I could tell, I don't think he's related to any of the major 4 chaos gods. It sounds like he's just some entity in the warp.
yeah, it sounds like this kind of warp being gave up itself.
Yeah.
To merge and become something new, and I think just. It might have just been a right place at the right time kind of scenario.
Sure.
All this blood and sacrifice strengthens Mkar, which affords his ability to actually merge and keep this soul alive and
Yeah.
then become something new with it. So, again, souls isn't a very well-defined thing in 40K. So
Yeah, anytime
we talk about it, it kind of feels like I'm shouting into space.
It's nice. It's real
It's
nice.
great.
Are you open to spoilers about what happens to Amkar? Or should we leave that for people to discover?
Yeah, leave it for people to discover. It's fine.
Okay.
He's in a bunch of books.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
He's a fairly prominent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's fine. He gets killed. He comes back. He gets killed. He comes back. I think at one point he gets killed and then he comes back.
But
And then he gets killed, though.
fuck. But
I spoiled it.
Mkar is a demon prince. So that's a mortal who's elevated to demonhood.
Yeah.
But demons can be destroyed.
They can also be loved. You ever tried that with a demon? No, I don't think you have.
Why do you think they're so like into killing all things and causing
We've
so much
never
pain?
showed them kindness.
That's right.
We've never.
You know, there might be
showed
something to
that.
killing demons with kindness.
I don't think he I don't think Melok Cartho was in a dreadnought. So when I see the image, the quote under the dreadnought image is, he's inhabiting the dreadnought body of Ultramarine's venerable brother Altarian.
Yeah.
So
So he wasn't a dreadnought.
he's not a dreadnought.
He's just wearing a
He's just,
dreadnought,
yeah,
like-
he's currently
Yeah.
he's
sure,
currently
sure.
in the body
Sorry,
of a
the
dreadnought.
semantics thing.
No, I thought he was like literally.
Yeah, like did he die
took
as a
that
mortal
back.
hero, and then
Oh,
he's
yeah,
like
yeah.
in a sarcophagus, and then his mortal shell is suddenly like bursting out.
Yeah, and it overtakes it in
Right.
flesh, and
Yeah,
now
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like a flesh. That's what I thought it was,
Sure,
but
sure.
no, he's just a regular demon who's living inside
He's
of a
moonlighting.
temporary. Yeah,
It is me, Brother Altarion. Let me join the feasting brothers.
he walks in, massive demon. Anyways,
That is something I always think about with giant characters like that is how would you feed them?
You don't.
You eat souls.
And then what about number 2? It'd be so much cleanup. There's no way your average sewage system
can support this?
can support
So-
Be surprised.
so there's actually it's super unrelated, but there's a Blood Angels dreadnought who he's so thirsty for blood that they've modified his dreadnought so he can actually be fed blood. Yeah.
Little
He's
vampire
so
valve.
he's so desperate for it that they allow him to actually slake his thirst.
Okay.
Glorious.
He's literally bloodthirsty.
Yes, sir.
It's interesting.
So, and the last thing, using the power of chaos as a means to its own end, that's Chaos Undivided. We chose Abaddon the Despoiler because he has refused demonhood.
Yeah,
It's been
it-
offered to him. He wants to be his own man.
I can't think of any other one that has denied the power of the gods and is as powerful as he is.
Yeah.
So,
I'm sure they're out there.
That's big dick energy.
of
right
course,
there.
yeah. The chances
even
of it
know.
happening, I think, are slim, but of course it's out there. I haven't heard of it. So,
Yeah.
like he's kind of in a league all on his own.
Oh, yeah. Like, no mortal can match him. The only people who could
Speak for
potentially...
yourself.
I think we're gonna speak for everyone in this room. Actually, sorry, Christian. The puma, maybe, but definitely not Abaddon.
Puma, but not Abaddon.
Yeah.
My God. But yeah, like so he has had the opportunity, but he does not want to be shackled to the warp, to chaos entities or whatever. So he just says no.
He's like polyamorous, you know. He's got
wanna
love for
nail
all
down.
the chaos demons.
Sure.
He's scared of commitment. Yeah. He's committed to his war, and I just wanted him to be committed to me.
Yeah. Yeah, so
Is that your impression of Slanesh?
That was my impression of any of the chaos. Yeah. They were manifesting through me, is what it was.
through those supple lips over there.
You're welcome.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's Chaos Undivided. Chaos Undivided, it covers a lot of different things, and once again, this is like how the Imperium kind of classifies Chaos Undivided as well.
Yeah. So personally, I don't really like the third category as an actual identifier of Chaos Undivided.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I really think that's kind of a weird thing. I would just say, oh, they're just like anti everything. I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
I don't. Maybe I'd come up with another name for it. But I think Chaos Undivided.
Unitarians.
I think, and even.
But it's not what it sounds like.
Even those beings that worship just a single chaos god, like Sons of Malice.
Yeah.
I don't view those as Chaos Undivided either.
Yeah,
You
to-
see them as
I
worshippers.
see.
I talked
yes,
with Mark right before the
yeah.
episode about
They
that.
they have chosen a singular entity to worship,
and they should have their own classification.
yeah, exactly. It should just be they're another follower of chaos. It's just that the four gods are so prominent that
They kind of define everyone else.
yeah, exactly. And if you're not part of them, you're just lumped into this other group. So I think Chaos Undivided should really be defined as worshiping more than one entity with the intention, like on purpose, you know? So I think that would be my actual definition.
So
of
then what would you
undivided.
call these other two categories?
Well, the other one, like, what do you call the word bear, or what do you call world eaters that just worship corn? What do you call them? Because Malal,
Shippers of corn?
yeah. So then Slanesh or the Sons of Malice are just worshippers of malice.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying.
You know,
Sure,
like
sure,
there's
sure.
no distinction to me
They
between
become their own
Yeah,
category.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
just either you worship you've chosen to worship a single chaos entity, or you choose to worship chaos in its entirety.
Sons of
you know?
Gilgamesh. or
Yeah.
whatever.
Sons of Galganesh. Galgachuber.
Yeah. No, I agree. I don't think two of those belong on Chaos Undivided. It should just be that. Yeah.
And
Even some Black Library authors are like kind of changing the way this whole
Dynamic.
works. Like
Really?
it used to be a thing where you could have undivided demon princes. Now it's not a thing. Like in one of
Do you
Aaron
mean
Dep-
on tabletop?
on tabletop and in lore. In one of the books, Aaron Dempsey Bowden was writing like more like, yeah, you can't really do that, and like he's kind of explained it out. Like the thing is, you need to get power from someone, but if you're worshiping all four gods, who are you taking power from? Because if you literally have to take power from all the gods equally, because if you just take it from one, now you're that.
Yeah,
But they
And
have
you'd
them.
be if Korn is the one who ascended you, even though you worshipped all of them. You're
Yeah.
just a demon prince of Korn.
Exactly. So they are kind of reworking how the whole undivided part works. Because like undivided demon princes, it's not a thing.
But what about we just talked about
Bellicor.
Bellicor? Yeah.
Yeah, he's an exception.
It also like
Because like all four of the gods were in their early stages.
it's
and
got to
they
be
all
one of
blessed
those
them.
like early releases, you know,
Yeah.
that they
And
just haven't
Bellicor
gone
is
back
old.
yet.
Like
Bellicor is very
and
old.
exists in both Warhammer Fantasy
Yeah.
and in 40k. It's one of those crossover characters.
which is odd. But yeah, so what we said doesn't matter. This whole
Episode doesn't matter.
Yeah, the takeaway should be
We put a lot of our own spin
Yeah, that's-
on this.
the takeaway should definitely be we're all gonna go worship chaos now together, undivided.
Undecided.
We're gonna have a Libra Null reading group.
Yeah, exactly.
It would be interesting to read that book.
It's
Knowledge for knowledge's sake, guys.
I want to
pretty
kill
easy
things.
pretty easy
No,
to get a
I don't want
PDF
to.
copy of
I
it.
just want to know how to.
That's how you. Yeah, okay.
Mark just wanted to have orgies, and Sam's just got COVID-19. There we go.
That's nice.
But I'm happy about it because I worship Nurgle.
That's nice. That's what
Accepted
you
your
want.
lot in life. Yeah, that's kind of our episode. Before we actually say goodbye, though, what we want to do
I'll
is
show you this picture of Abaddon.
Oh my God! Can you?
You're just so
find a
better pictures, man.
I can't believe
not
it.
Let
was-
him make slideshows
I
anymore.
think it's awesome now. It's just in my opinion, it's just a meme.
He's just going out of his way to get
Yeah.
like the most pixelated
What are
images.
you talking about? That is as crisp as a morning dew.
When was the last time you ever went and looked at Morning Dew?
Morning sewage is what that is.
But what I want to do is we're going to take this time to thank all of our new patrons.
Yeah.
To our Imperial Tithe.
Oh, thank you.
So thank you, Jesse, Jack, Jason, Shadowblade, Brian, Andrew, Anthony, Devin, Chris, Chad, Russell, Mr. Taco Claw, Cassandra, Layton, Dan, Ashley, Sebastian. Yikes.
Say it.
I'll say it.
The Pussy Destroyer 666.
Pussy.
Ol Martin, Adam, Carl, Spamuel, Ashgier,
Pussy Destroyer 666 really liked my metal bits, guys.
Jonathan, Matthew,
Guarantee.
Jack, Chris, me? I don't know. Riley, Texas Red, Caleb, Guardsman 67, Brody, and Oscari.
Yeah.
Thank you so much,
Thank you,
guys, for contributing.
That's incredible.
We hope that you're enjoying seeing our misshapen bodies and
Lumpin'. I prefer the term
So
lumpin'.
get off my lumps. I'm watching Adventure Time for the
Oh,
first
yeah.
time, and hands down, best character is Lumpy Space Princess. Everybody's trying to get my lumps. Have you guys not seen Adventure
No.
Time?
I've seen
I'm
Adventure Time.
surprised.
I haven't heard that one.
I'm surprised. Mark hadn't seen it either. It seemed exactly up your guys' alley. I don't know.
I could dabble, but we'll see.
Anyways, thank you to our patrons.
Yeah, thank you so much. Go support the show.
Yeah.
Um,
Be a part of it. Join our
be a part
community.
of it. Go buy a Libra Malleus Marine.
Yeah,
Join the
definitely
Discord.
buy a
Two.
Libra Malleus Marine. That would be awesome.
3 of them.
Just buy the whole company.
Just buy the whole company. Come on.
do it.
Do it.
Do it.
Do you have life savings? That's where
Not
you want to
anymore.
invest.
Anyways, thank you guys, and see
Yeah.
you on the next episode.
Yeah. Bye. Thank you. Here we go. Bring
Hail
us
Satan.
home. Hail Satan. Bring us out. What?
No,
what
I'm doing it for science. Hail Satan! That is without a doubt one of the best moments in Futurama when they're bringing Bender back from the dead. This looks like a pentagram. No, it's science. Now I have to go watch that again.
God. All right. So, have you brought us out? Are we done
Yeah,
this
no, it's
episode?
done. We're done.
Okay.
I stopped recording like 10 minutes ago.
Son of a bitch. Okay. Well, that's nice.
Dope, dope, dope.